Good afternoon. Today I'm going to be reviewing my November 2024 State of the Collection. I currently have a two-piece collection and I keep my two watches in this Mirage Luxury Travel Roll. So on the left we have my Invicta Pro Diver, reference 26970 Quartz, and on the right we have my Rolex Submariner date, reference 16610. So firstly I'll show you my 16610 and I will explain why I bought it. This is actually the second time I've owned a 16610. Now, why did I buy it again? Well, when I was 19 years old, I decided I wanted to buy a Rolex Submariner, but at the time I was a university student, so I couldn't afford one. And it actually took me 2 years to save up the £2,500 to buy a pre-owned 140-60M Submariner from 19 to 21 years old. And I can honestly say that was one of the happiest days of my life. It was an incredible dopamine rush. And it really was the highest of highs, walking down the street from the watch dealer, wearing my Submariner for the first time, having saved up hard for 2 years to get the £2,500 needed. So why did I buy Submariner? Why did I want that watch so much? Well, when I was 19, I saw the film Live and Let Die, and James Bond was played by Roger Moore, and he was wearing a 5513 Submariner with a buzzsaw bezel, and he used the buzzsaw bezel on the watch to cut a rope to free himself, and it always stuck in my mind as a cool watch, and I just decided I really wanted a Rolex Submariner. So after the 140-60M at 21, I then sold it and I bought a 16610, an earlier version of this watch. Now the difference is, this is a 2010, so it has the laser engraved Rehorts, solid end links and no holes case. I had an early version of the 16610 previously, which had a plain Rehorts without the laser engraving. It had hollow end links and it had holes in the case, and tritium on the dial. This has superluminova. And I've always really liked the classic Submariner and Submariner date case shape used in the 140-60M and the 16610 respectively. I really like the slender lugs, the grained finish to the brush satin finishing on the tops of the lugs and the large bevels. I love the crisp case shape and the transition between the mirror polished flanks and the grained finish to the tops of the lugs. Rolex really attained perfection with regards to the proportions of the Submariner and Submariner date case shape, with the classic Submariner case used in the 140-60M and the 16610. They've never created better proportions. I think they actually made a mistake with the super case used in the 116610 LN, which I've previously owned, because the lugs were too thick, and then Rolex realised the mistake and they slimmed down the lugs in the successor, the 126610 LN and LV. And I really think that the slender lugs on the Submariner with a 20mm lug width looks better than the thicker lugs with a 21mm lug width used in the current version. So I absolutely love this watch. Collectors often talk about a one and done watch or a grail piece, and for me personally, this is it, the 16610. This is the one watch I will keep for the rest of my life. I'm never going to sell it, and I just absolutely love it. It gives outstanding feel-good factor. So I'll give you a wrist shot and you can see. Now the thing is, I like to wear my watches loose, and as you'll know from my previous reviews, I have a large wrist, I have an 8-inch wrist. So the 16610 comes with 11 links. It comes with 5 links on one side and 7 links on the other. And this is something I really dislike about it, because the uneven number of links, 5 and 7, makes the clasp sit off center regardless of your wrist size. So I went to a Rolex authorized dealer and I ordered 2 additional links from Rolex in Switzerland, and they took 2 weeks to be delivered. And then I returned to the Rolex authorized dealer and had them fit the links. And the reason why I didn't just put the links in myself is because Rolex have changed their policy. They no longer allow collectors to purchase the links and then the authorized dealer to post them out and the collector fit them, because they don't want parts to be fitted to incorrect pieces, counterfeit watches. So one has to present the watch at the Rolex authorized dealer, and the authorized dealer checks the serial number to verify the piece is correct before fitting the parts. So I had 2 links fitted, one on the 6 o'clock side and one on the 12 o'clock side. So it still does have an uneven number of links, but however, I've now got the desired fit. I always use the correct sizing method. One should always be able to slide an index finger underneath the bracelet and clasp at all times, because this allows for wrist expansion when one is active or in warmer weather. So that is the correct sizing method. Often it's the case that collectors make the mistake of wearing bracelets too tight they can't fit an index finger underneath. And the reason why this is detrimental is because if you size your bracelet too tight, it puts the screw pins and the spring bars into shear load, and therefore it exacerbates the wear in the links in the bracelets, because what happens is the shear causes the links to be put under shear load and stress, and it elongates the holes in the links with time, and of course then you get a rattle and sloppy bracelet. So my advice to you is always size your bracelets loose. That takes the shear load off the screw pins, and therefore it doesn't excessively wear the links in the bracelets. You don't get bracelet stretch on a Jubilee bracelet, and therefore you don't get wear in the links of an oyster bracelet, for example. So I like the fits, and as you can see, very low profile piece for an automatic, which is 300 meters. And I absolutely love the curved undercut to the case. This is something that Rolex got correct and so many brands get incorrect. It's only 12.7 millimeters thick, and just a very snug fit, despite having male end links rather than female pivoted end links, which would really enhance the fit. This would actually fit better with female pivoted end links, as per Tudor Black Bay 58, which I've previously reviewed and owned. So I love the low profile look of it, and I also prefer the aluminium bezel inserts. I've previously owned a plethora of Submariner and Submariner date pieces with Cerachrome bezels inlaid with platinum. And I actually dislike the dull grey look of the platinum inlaid in the Cerachrome. I prefer the shiny metallic look, which catches the light on the Arabic numerals of the aluminium bezel inserts. I absolutely love the look of it. It just looks great from every angle. Right, so why did I buy an homage to it? Because I already own the 16610. So why did I buy an homage to the 16610 when I owned the original? I'll explain. When I retired from my channel, I had produced 412 videos in 3 years, a massive body of work. And I decided to purchase a holiday apartment and renovate it. So I was carrying out renovation work. For example, I was using a hammer and chisel to remove wall tiles from the bathroom and kitchen, because I had a new bathroom and kitchen fitted to my apartment. Now, I didn't want to wear my Submariner dates doing the renovation work, because, for example, using a hammer and chisel would shock damage the caliber 31-35 movement, and I didn't want chunks of ceramic wall tiles to be hitting the watch. So I like the feeling of wearing one, so I bought an homage to it, which is this Invicta Pro Diver 26970 Quartz. Now, why did I buy the Quartz version and not the automatic? Because the automatic is powered by the NH35A, which is one of my favourite movements. It's a very reliable, well-proven workhorse movement. Well, the automatic version has a bubble back profile to the exhibition case back, and it's too thick. This is only 11.4 millimeters. So to put this into perspective, this Pro Diver is slimmer than my Submariner dates, which is 12.7. So at 11.4, it's an incredibly low profile piece. I'll give you a wrist shot and you can see it for comparison. Now the automatic is 14. So it's a very tall piece due to that bubble back profile of the exhibition case back. You can see how snug this fits to the wrist. It's exactly the same fit as my Submariner date, which is 12.7. Nice curved undercut to the case, and this does have female pivoted end links because it has hollow end links rather than solid male end links, as you can see. So it actually pulls the end link of the bracelet closer to the wrist. But you can see the snug fit. 11.4 easily slips underneath the shirt cuff of business shirts, and an incredibly light piece because it's quartz powered by the Seiko PC32 quartz. And I really like the fit. Now the only thing I dislike is the taper, because this tapers from 20 down to 18. My Submariner date tapers from 20 to 16, which is perfection. But however, it does feel very well balanced and does look very similar. And I actually prefer the quartz. It's more accurate. The NH35 has a stated accuracy of -20 to +40. But this quartz is Seiko PC32 powered. The PC32 has an accuracy of less than 30 seconds per month. So just think about that. That's not 30 seconds per day or per week. That is per month. Less than 1 second per day accuracy. This is actually more accurate than my Submariner date, which is COSC Superlative Chronometer certified and +2 seconds per day. Less than 1 second per day accuracy. And I can tell you, this watch has been through abuse. I used it when I was using the hammer and chisel and, to remove a plethora of wall tiles from the bathroom and kitchen. I did lots of manual work with it. And as you can see, it looks as good as new. And now I did scratch the bracelet and clasp, and prior to this state of the collection review, I have brush satin finished the bracelets and the clasp to bring it back to new condition. Now, as you know, Pro Divers usually come with mirror polish centre links, which I dislike because they show scuffs and scratches, and I don't like the shiny look of the mirror polish centre links. So I actually removed this bracelet and I used double-sided tape. I stuck it down to a desk, and then I longitudinally brush satin finished the links in the bracelet and also the clasp to get a beautiful luster to it, as you can see. And it's very easy to get that luster in the 316L grade stainless steel. If you remove it from the head of the piece and stick it down with double-sided tape, you get a nice straight grained finish to the brush satin finishing. And I really like both pieces because the proportions are very similar. So it's good to have a watch that you don't need to worry about damaging. And this is the negative of owning a Rolex Submariner dates. These have appreciated in value. When they were new, they were circa €3,000 in 2010. And they've now appreciated, as do all Rolex Submariners and Submariner dates in time. When they're discontinued, the older they get, the more they go up in value. So one can purchase a 16610 from £8,500 to £14,000 on Chrono24 from grey market dealers. And I was willing to pay £14,500 for this piece because it's one of the last December 2010 pieces before it was discontinued, and it was a full set, box and papers, fully stickered in new old stock condition. And so it was outstanding. I was willing to pay top money to get this watch. I wanted a brand new piece that hadn't been worn, didn't have any polishing, and it had all the protective films intact from 2010. So as you can see, very similar pieces. Now the thing is, the feel-good factor of both watches is excellent. Often it's the case that Rolex collectors, there is a lot of snobbery in watch collecting. Rolex collectors look down on collectors of low-tier pieces, collectors that own Invicta watches or homage pieces. I think that's absolute nonsense. You'll know from my previous reviews that I do not look down on collectors of low-tier pieces or homage pieces or Invicta owners. I can afford to own a Rolex and I also own an Invicta, and the truth is I get feel-good factor from both watches for different reasons. I absolutely love the Submariner dates, as I've detailed, but I equally enjoy wearing this piece because I don't have to worry about damaging it. I don't have to worry if I drop it or I smash the crystal or I scuff or scratch it when doing renovation work on my apartment, for example, because it's only €77 from Amazon. If I destroy this watch, I can simply order another one from Amazon for €77. It's not a problem. I can't do that with this 16610 because it's a rare December 2010 piece, which was new old stock. It's a very difficult piece to obtain. So the truth is that one can get feel-good factor from an Invicta Pro Diver, which is only €77. And the other thing is, the honest truth is, the movement is more robust. The Seiko caliber PC32 Quartz is more robust and shock resistant than the Rolex caliber 3135, which is an excellent caliber. It's not as shock resistant. If you bang this watch against something, it will knock out the regulation of the movement and it needs to be recalibrated. But this, you can bang this against the wall and it will survive the shock damage. The quartz movement is well insulated because the body of the quartz is plastic and so it absorbs shock. So the truth is, it's more accurate and it's also more robust, it's more durable. And the 2-year battery life is perfectly good enough. So it's a great watch because one doesn't have to wear it for 8 hours a day or put it on a watch winder. It keeps perfect time, less than 1 second per day. With the 2-year battery life, it doesn't matter if you don't wear it for a week, it still keeps perfect time and you don't have to keep resetting the date. With a Submariner date, you have to keep wearing it 8 hours per day and you have to put it on a watch winder to keep it wound. So that's a disadvantage of automatics. And I actually really like slender, low-profile pieces. I like watches that are below 13 millimeters. This is 12.7, this is 11.4. I dislike Chinese watches that have tall slab sides like a Tudor Black Bay to the flanks of the case. They sit too tall on the wrist with a bubble back case back. I like watches to sit low profile. So both pieces give good feel good factor. I like both of them and I enjoy wearing them both equally. There's no snobbery with me whatsoever. It doesn't matter to me if a collector owns a Rolex Submariner Dates or an Invicta Pro Diver Quartz. I think wear the watch that you enjoy wearing and don't wear a watch because you're influenced by YouTubers like myself, and don't be influenced on watch forums because collectors tell you to buy a watch and add it to your collection. Buy the watch that you like wearing regardless of what other people think. Don't pay any attention to other collectors' opinion. Simply buy the watches that give feel good factor. So I hope you've liked my review of my November 2024 State of the Collection. Please feel free to post your own comments below the video. Thank you for watching.